999. So instead of dying, he will go through 999 tests and travails and tribulations. He's got 999 problems, but definitely one. If you know that song. Rebbe Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, who was one of the great early Hasidic masters, and it's based on a verse in Tehillim in Psalm 87, where it says, Hashem ispor bichtov amim, that God counts in the register, in the counting system of the nations of the world. So if the nations of the world follow a particular counting system, okay, so then God also follows that counting system.
Maimonides Medical Center is at the doorstep.
Maimonides presents laws, practical law. Practical law means, how do we identify who Moshiach is? How do we know where we are? Unless you have a guidebook.
We have a very special Kabbalah that on the 9th month, on the 9th day, on the 9th hour, the gates of the heavens are open. 999.
So there is a place for using the secular dating system, and it's not so strange. Rebbe Levi Yitzchak says that's what it means that Hashem yispor bichtov amim, that God counts also according to the register, according to the counting system of all the nations of the world.
Based on a talk that the Rebbe said in 1988.
Instead of arguing that the Rebbe is Moshiach, I would argue he was the prophet.
Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, known simply as the Rebbe. The Rebbe reportedly believed Netanyahu had a mission from God to prepare Israel for the coming of the Messiah. Over the next decade, the two men developed a close relationship.
What makes him like Elijah more than any other prophet?
Everybody knows that the Rebbe said already from when he was a little boy, that his entire, from when he was even before he went to Cheder, he was already dreaming, and he began to visualize the images of the redemption.
A couple of years after this meeting, the Rebbe reportedly told a young Netanyahu that he would one day become Prime Minister of Israel and would be the nation's last leader before handing the scepter to the Messiah.
Because he's like Elijah.
Right. Elijah-like.
An Elijah-like teacher. Prophet.
In the final chapter of Mishnah Torah, the Rambam tells us that at the very beginning of Yemei HaMashiach, the messianic days, we will see a war unfold known as Gog and Magog. And then the Rambam says that before this war, there will be a Navi, a prophet who will arise. And the purpose of this prophet's arising or coming,
an event that triggers Mashiach, is why Elijah, to announce the coming of Moshiach.
That will tell us that Moshiach is very close.
In 1988, the Rebbe said that now is the time. That we have to give life to the king. Yehi HaMelech, long live the king.
That's the concept of the revelation of Mashiach in general, how the Rebbe said it. The Rebbe said, if you wish, you can say it however you want, but I say that Mashiach will be revealed first here in Brooklyn.
The topic we'll discuss today is will Mashiach first announce himself on Facebook or TikTok?
The world is changing. The process of redemption has started because Moshiach is in New York, the Rebbe says, and this great event is happening in New York because Moshiach. But the Rebbe then tells us at that time, the same like Moshe Rabbeinu. There's no words. Speech is in exile. There's a problem. I can't shred and I can't talk. A major component for Moshiach has now been completed. That means the Rebbe told us already in 1992 that Moshiach's energy is here in the world. The power of Moshiach is here already. It's been already downloaded. But for 33 years, that power, that mouth, that force is still needs to be articulated.
It's like a man that's been an invalid for years, and all of a sudden they do some whatever, medicine, whatever, and he gets out of bed. When he gets out of bed, then he's still the same guy he was, but he's now freed. And he needs time to develop. Because he starts off as a regular guy, you know, and whatever, how long it takes. In this case, he can't even write it down. So forget about it, he can't hear it, he can't write it down, so then if he can't write it down, nobody can hear it. So he's got some type of an impediment that doesn't allow this, what's going on, to be expressed in himself to this extent that even can be shared with anybody else. I mean, it's an unusual kind of, you know, but that's what it is. You know when you see this, you think this is unusual? Nah. You see it by Yosef Atzadik, 13 years in prison. You know where you really see this? Moshe Rabbeinu.
Think about it. God sends Moshe, and Moshe goes. He begins the process. I've been arguing a very long time. I've been making the argument a very long time that in 1992, the process, 1990, 1991, 1992, the process of redemption started. It says about Moshiach that Moshiach will be revealed, he will be concealed, and then he will be revealed again. The Torah brings up again Moshe's argument one more time. And Moshe says again to God, how can I go? Ani aral sfasayim, I have stuffed lips. And Hashem says with him now, again, another time Aaron was going to be in Nevi'ah. What are we seeing over here? That this particular problem is an essential problem. It's not just technical, as we're going to see soon. This is not a technical thing. This has to do with the very fundamental blockage that exists in exile. There is a speech impediment, and that speech impediment is an inherent circumstance of exile. It's an inherent flaw, if you might say, or challenge in exile. And it's precisely in this particular thing that the secret of the redemption lies, in the ability to be able to open up the mouth.
It's when the people notice, and the people will say, we think you're Moshiach.
In the realms of divinity, there is a breakage in the speech. And that impediment of speech, a cosmic impediment of speech, affects all the levels of existence on levels of speech. Holy speech is defected. Holy speech is broken. The unholy has the mouth, can talk, but holiness cannot talk. The redemption has to do with the healing of the mouth and the speech going out of exile.
The idea of a salvation, whether we refer to that salvation as the Messiah, I would like to quote from the Zohar concerning that period. When I say that period, our period, because we now exist, we now live within that age of Aquarius, the age of Moshiach. It is not something now in the distant future as it was 2,000 and 3,000 years ago. And the Zohar states that the Messiah, speaking about the Messiah, Bizman hahu yitoreh melech haMashiach latzet min Gan Eden. Whoever this King Messiah is, will emerge from a consciousness which is known as Gan Eden. When he makes his appearance, says the Zohar, the people shall be fearful. They will all hide because of his appearance. V'lo yachshavu lehinatzel, and they will have no inkling nor desire to think that they shall be saved from the Messiah.
But really what it is a very great energy, Were he to only know how to challenge the energy in the right way, he would be able to extract, he'll be able to reveal the hidden light that's hidden behind this, which is a light that's so great that's above the norm. It's a chaotic light in a positive sense. It's so great and sublime that it defies logic, that it defies any value system that existed before. Revelation of Mashiach coming into the world, and the world is not yet ready for it. So when it enters the world, it just creates chaos.
Because it's Dajjal at the back of this, the mastermind.
So they will go and see, the calamity has come. The Dajjal has come.
So what is he? Is he a human being? Yes, he is. He is actually a human being. He is male. He will have a large body. He is bow-legged.
He walks a little different.
Big forehead. All from authentic narration. But I want to say all the hadith. All this, so you don't fall for it. How fast does he travel? How, does he go so quickly, so slow? He goes as fast as a cloud driven by wind. He's so fast all across earth.
The second eye is damaged.
It's not Moshiach will come, like some pipe dream. Moshiach is coming and has been coming for 2,000 years, which means it's a process, not a prediction. It's a process. If we get our act together, if we make the world ready and willing, it will happen.
Obviously, as Muslims, we believe Jesus is the Messiah. As Christians, they believe Jesus is the Messiah as well. There's only one group of people that do not believe Jesus is the Messiah, which is the Jews. The Jews reject Jesus as the Messiah. No, they believe that there's somebody else that's supposed to be the Messiah. And so whoever the Jews are waiting for is known as the antichrist.
If the Jews don't believe in Isa alayhi salam, then who's the first messianic character who's going to come? It's going to be a Dajjal. It's going to be the antichrist. And he will come with everything that will confirm what they have. So of course the Jewish people are going to follow a Dajjal first. It's not even a question.
And we know he ends where? In Jerusalem. That's his end.
Anyone that has a little bit of understanding of what a Jewish king is, it's a very, very deep and powerful concept. He had absolute authority, absolute control. That was that. But then, that explanation is not really good enough, because the fear, the bittul, the nullification that people felt wasn't only because they themselves appointed him as their king. The fear that they felt from the king, the Rebbe Rashab explains, the Reimumus of a melech, the bittul, the nullification that people had in front of a king, was atzmistic a bittul. Like, as if this king is essentially exalted. Not just he's exalted because the nation handed him over the power. This king, at that point, they brought upon him something they endowed him with something which is much greater than them themselves. They endowed him with a manifestation of the Eibishter's kingdom, which is something which, when a person stands in front of the king, being in the presence of someone that has that manifestation of kingdom, they become totally nullified. But the Rebbe Rashab goes on to further to explain that a true king is someone that even before you crowned him has that has that essential exaltness, that he essentially is higher than everyone else. That just is concealed. By crowning him, you bring it out in a revealed way.
I'm at the dog park, and this dude comes in with a wolf, and it was the wildest thing, where every dog was like, what the f***? Do you know what that is? Every dog was like, oh, Jesus Christ. They all slunk down and moved away from it. It was like he was walking through a tie. It pulled back.
Are they illegal?
Yeah, you can have a wolf. You can have
in a dog park?
Yeah, you can have a 7/8 timber wolf.
The women are going to be the ones that are going to run to him. And the men are going to have to actually tie the women to the
physically,
trees.
as in tie them down, not mentally.
Because they are going to run to Dajjal.
Yes.
And they're going to lose their deal.
Israel has to wage her big war and yet get away from being perceived by the whole of humanity as the aggressor, blatant aggression. You have to come with a good strategy. Israel has to wage this big war, which is already planned long ago. And the territory of the state of Israel will dramatically expand.
There's also aspects of Ches Mason that will happen in Yemos. So Mashiach, it actually says Moshe and Aaron are going to come back.
to teach Mashiach how to build the Beis HaMikdash.
He will tell the earth, spit out your treasures. The hadith says, like bees, gold and silver and diamonds will come out of the ground and follow him.
Not all, but much of the kesef of all the silver and the gold that comes, that is visible in the world, will all come towards the Beit HaMikdash. It will have tremendous amount of trappings, and it will make every other building and edifice, especially in our days, which is very difficult to do, it'll make it look small compared to the beauty of what the Beit HaMikdash will look like.
What do we have to do? We have to be able to take what, as Rebbe's terminology was, we have to take these great lights, which are uncontained, and to channel them.
That brings God into creation by the axe, which is the Jews, Moshiach ben David, Moshiach ben Yosef. God is the fourth wheel, but that means He Himself is responsible for bringing Himself into creation. How do we understand that? And that's what it says, Umevi Goel, Leman Shemoy Bi'avo. That's the thing. God says, I'm the fourth wheel. I guarantee that this Merkava, this chariot, will bring me back to creation, because that's what I want. You see? And that is what you have to think about. That not only will it happen, it existentially must happen, because it is the absolute will of God that the Jews be redeemed, that evil be destroyed completely, and that all the people who deserve will get what they deserve. The concept of accountability and recompense, retribution, and so on, that all of this not only will happen, it must happen. That is the promise of the Rebbe Shalom.
An interesting insight from B'nai Yissachar, which teaches that the Dali, the Aquarius, is not only associated with Shavat in particular, but it's also the mazel of Klal Israel, of Israel in general. This is the consolation of Israel. So Aquarius, or the Dali, the bucket, equals Israel.
And who's going to come first? Mashiach ben Yosef or Mashiach ben David? According to our tradition, it's Mashiach ben Yosef.
We have to understand a very fundamental principle that Chazal teaches about the coming of Mashiach, that it's going to be coming. We learned that there's a statement that says Mashiach is going to come through a distraction. Hesach hadas, by being distracted.
Well, what does that mean?
Something that I've always been puzzled by, because it's something that's very unclear, and it's not something that we were taught of when we were younger, when we were speaking about Mashiach. We get older, and then we have this whole concept that's called Mashiach ben Yosef. The two Mashiachs, Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef. Now, like many things regarding the concept of Mashiach, there's many things here that are not, they weren't brought down clearly in Chazal. They kind of were left like just wondering, like, okay. There's still some kind of like, and it has to be like this, obviously, because we're talking about Mashiach here. There's still this like big wonderment surrounding the whole concept, and bifrat surrounding Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. The concept of two Mashiachs. Does anyone here remember when they first heard about that they heard the concept Mashiach ben Yosef, and you're like, well, I think the teacher got it wrong? And they said it wrong, yeah.
Right? What it had to do with the Goyim, like who got it first?
It's a very interesting thing. When we were kids, we said, we want Mashiach now. No one said to us, David or Yosef. We see that Mashiach ben Yosef will be a person that will appear before Mashiach ben David. Perhaps this is the reason why we weren't taught so much about Mashiach when we were kids, or adults, for that sake. Why? Because so many different concepts that have to do with the coming of Mashiach, they were left mamash in the air. They were left unclear by Chazal. Right? They're not barur. It's not so clear. What the Rambam say? No one will know how it all unfolds until you know, until it unfolds. So is that comforting, or does that leave you restless? Both. It's mamash both. It doesn't really. Sometimes it feels good, sometimes it doesn't. But this statement from the Rambam is very interesting. You won't know until you know. Shkoyach. Thank you. So what am I going to do with that? I don't know. I want to be very clear. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that with the real things in life. And it's true. The most real things in life, you can have all the hachanas in the world, all the preparation in the world, but until you're going through the experience of it, you don't really know the depth of what you're dealing with.
As it says openly in the verse says in Exodus and in Shemos, V'aron HaKohen yeh nevi'echa, he will be your prophet. Nevi'im, the word prophet over here doesn't mean he will be a prophet. The main reason why a prophet is called a Navi in Hebrew is because he articulates divinity in words. He brings it out into godly words. He will be your spokesman. That's basically what it means. And Hashem also says to him, he will be to you as a mouth.
So we're not gonna, it won't be crystal clear until we know and it becomes crystal clear. I know it's hard to tap into that because that's just nature. Our habitual beings, that's just nature. But the fact that this is what we're doing right now definitely falls under the category of you'll know when you know. You know what I mean? You'll know when you know. But when you didn't know, you really didn't know. Moshiach ben Yosef, he's not mentioned at all in the Rambam. The reason you didn't learn about him is because he's this figure that's, you know what Lotaba Arafel means? I know Arafel is fog, right? Loteba Arafel, it's like withering away in the fog. That's to a certain extent, and that's why this person, this figure, there was no text for him. You can't say, okay, let's learn today about Mashiach ben Yosef. Let's read all the sources. It would be like going to the Museum of the History of Palestine. There's nothing in there, right? It's the same thing. There's nothing really you could do it besides squeezing out certain barbanels and stuff like this. And manasotito. His showing up on the scene is dependent on us. How? Imam Yisrael Yeshuv B'tshuva. If we get our acts together, Yitgale miyad Mashiach ben David. ולא יהיה צורך במלחמות ובפעולתו של משיח בן יוסף. Very, very strong words, Rabbi Sadia Gaon. It's true, there is this potential person, this figure, that he will show up based on where you're at, Yidden. That's what he's saying over here. Gam im yofiya az Mashiach ben Yosef. And then he says, and don't worry, even if you do proper tshuva, Am Yisrael wakes up. There's a wave of enthusiasm. There's really a cleansing of our wrongdoing, v'chulei. So he says over here, even then, if this person, Mashiach ben Yosef, shows up on the scene, don't worry, he's not going to start wars and get killed. Hu lo yeh ela shlicho shel Mashiach ben David v'yachin lo et haderech. He'll simply be the messenger, the emissary of Mashiach ben David, and he will just prepare the way for Mashiach ben David to do what he's got to do in a more firm and clear way. His arrival and the manner in which he shows up is really dependent on where you're at.
This is the world the Antichrist could bring about, if we allow ourselves to reconsider his role. If we step away from the age-old narrative of him as a villain and view him instead as a catalyst for change. Perhaps we need to re-evaluate our understanding of the Antichrist. Maybe he isn't the villain of the story, but rather the hero we didn't know we needed.
Part of our job before Mashiach ben David comes is to make sure that Mashiach ben Yosef doesn't have to arrive in the manner that we learned of before. There's a whole other accepted notion of Mashiach ben Yosef as a person that all the tzaddikim, in all the generations that have ever been killed al Kiddush Hashem, they are the aspect, they fall under the bechina of Mashiach ben Yosef, Shnei Rag. Okay. Relationships have to be deeper. Learning Torah has to be deeper. Shabbos has to be deeper. Everything has to be pashut me'od, closer to what it's about.
It means that prior to this cataclysmic event that will leave Edom destroyed by Ishmael, Mashiach ben Yosef will attempt to rescue and redeem the Jews from the surrounding areas of Edom. And I say he'll attempt to save us because when Moshe Rabbeinu alav shalom was summoned by Hashem to redeem the Jewish people from Egypt, 4/5 of the people declined to leave, and only 1/5 of the nation came out of Egypt.
The path that most of us take is one of, this is what I think. And then again, unfortunately, our brain, our intelligence somehow is not and does not remedy the problems that we face each and every single day.
What he's going to do is organize the Torah in a way we have never seen before, where all of a sudden everything becomes connected. Not only the physical universe, the spiritual universe, why there is such thing as gravity or electricity. How does it connect to the Olamus? Everything will be unified as one system. That's the Nun Shari Bina, you see? And that's the Derech Ramchal.
Now, of the many astronomical metaphors in the Bible, one of the most important has to do with the ages. Throughout the scriptures, there are numerous references to the age. In order to understand this, we need to be familiar with a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes. The ancient Egyptians, along with cultures long before them, recognized that approximately every 2150 years, the sunrise on the morning of the spring equinox would occur in a different sign of the zodiac. This has to do with a slow, angular wobble that the Earth maintains as it rotates on its axis. It is called a precession because the constellations go backwards rather than through the normal yearly cycle. The amount of time it takes for the precession to go through all 12 signs is roughly 25,765 years. This is also called the Great Year, and ancient societies were very aware of this, and they referred to each 2150-year period as an age. From 4300 BC to 2150 BC, it was the age of Taurus, the bull. From 2150 BC to 1 AD, it was the age of Aries, the ram. And from 1 AD to 2150 AD, it is the age of Pisces, the age we are still in to this day. And in and around 2150, we will enter the new age, the age of Aquarius. Now, the Bible reflects, broadly speaking, a symbolic movement through 3 ages while foreshadowing a 4th. In the Old Testament, when Moses comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he is very upset to see his people worshiping a golden bull calf. In fact, he shattered the stone tablets and instructed his people to kill each other in order to purify themselves. Most biblical scholars will attribute this anger to the fact that the Israelites were worshiping a false idol or something to that effect. The reality is, the golden bull is Taurus the bull, and Moses represents the new age of Aries the ram. This is why Jews even today still blow the ram's horn. Moses represents the new age of Aries, and upon the new age, everyone must shed the old age. Other deities mark these transitions as well, such as Mithra, a pre-Christian god who kills the bull in the same symbology. Now Jesus is the figure who ushers in the age following Aries, the age of Pisces, or the 2 fish. Fish symbolism is very abundant in the New Testament. Jesus feeds 5,000 people with bread and 2 fish. When he begins his ministry walking along Galilee, he befriends 2 fishermen who follow him. And I think we have all seen the Jesus fish on the back of people's cars. Little do they know what it actually means. It is a pagan astrological symbolism for the sun's kingdom during the age of Pisces. Also, Jesus' assumed birth date is essentially the start of this age. At Luke 22:10, when Jesus is asked by his disciples where the last Passover would be, Jesus replies, "Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in." This scripture is by far one of the most revealing of all the astrological references. The man bearing the pitcher of water is Aquarius, the water bearer, who is always pictured as a man pouring out a pitcher of water. He represents the age after Pisces, and when the sun, God's son, leaves the age of Pisces, Jesus, it will go into the house of Aquarius, as Aquarius follows Pisces in the precession of the equinoxes. All Jesus is saying is that after the age of Pisces will come the age of Aquarius.
We know that this was talking about an astrological sign. Why? Because men never carry water ever. In the ancient world, that was something that a man would never do, is to carry water. That was a woman's job, period. So why did Jesus say, look for the man with the water pitcher? That's an astrological sign.
So that's even further back in history. So I'm not sure what's correct, but I thought I'd give a shout out that this idea of having 4 foundational pillars to help navigate the heavens, to set a calendar, to look at the sun for the year and the moon, the lunar phases, and to understand how to navigate where the other stars are in real time. We have the 4 watchers of north, south, east, west. But today we're going to talk about one fixed star. It's called the fixed star Regulus.
You're moving into, like as in the song goes, the dawning of the age of Aquarius, or by some calculations we're still in Pisces. By some would say that we're in the age of Aquarius, but what we are is on, well, at the very least on the cusp of that. But you can, for instance, Pisces with the white lines and Aquarius with the blue lines, they overlap. So what you have is overlap between several ages.
But this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
This constellation was entering Pisces gradually. What path has been passing, and now in what position it has been entering the throne of the Messiah, or a spring equinox in Aquarius.
And then another 30 years it'll be in Capricorn, but obviously because the constellations are not exactly 30 degrees, it's not going to take exactly 2,160 years to go from one to the other. We don't know exactly where this sidereal zodiac is. It's believed that it's roughly where the constellations are, and astrologers have never come to an agreement about this. So different sidereal astrologers place the beginning of the sidereal zodiac in different places, and you can see why. If I'm going to take these constellations and try to make them into nice 30-degree packages, how do I do it?
A fixed star, Alan, takes 2,160 years to move around our zodiac. All right? So the fixed star that's called Regulus, the heart of the lion, okay, in the constellation of Leo, is about to change signs. So it's very, in our lifetime, we have not had any of the major fixed stars. It is shifting into the zodiac position of 0 degrees of Virgo. And it's happening with a 4-hour margin of error.
Yeah.
Regulus went into Leo in about 150 BC, at the very beginning of the Roman Empire. So this march of the patriarchy and this march of the church was during this time where Regulus was in Leo, the sign of the emperor, the sign of the king, the sign of the emperor. It's moving into Virgo.
The Virgin.
And the in the masculine star Regulus going into a feminine sign is what the Mayans talk about. They don't talk about Regulus, but the Mayans talk about the balance of the male-female energy.
The subsequent casting down by Zeus of Astraea. Astraea, whose name means star maiden or star light, is at one level an obvious reference to the astral light, a cosmic and human principle composed of 7 subplanes.
People from all walks of life speculate that in 2012 there will be a shift, kind of a new age, a new way of thinking.
Maybe it'll just be a development of a different awareness. Maybe it'll be an awareness that, there is a spiritual component to human existence.
If you're projecting 1,500, 2,000 years out, just by looking at the stars, and you come within 50 years of when mankind was going to make this incredible transition into the beyond, into the ether, into space, I say you're on to my hat is off to you.
인연 어디 갔어? 어? 어디 갔냐고? 대답해! 대답해! Hey, you!
Look, the computer. It's moving.
Hey. Where is she?
Life was given to us 1 billion years ago. Now you know what to do with it.
Estrella may also refer to the divine Shakti by which great teachers sound the keynote for an epoch, while also projecting a partial aspect of themselves into incarnation to experience the limitations of a given age. Quote, I create this whole universe with a single portion of myself, says Krishna, and remain separate. In the Greek allegory, Astrea is cast into the pit, quote unquote, the underworld, which is earth life, heralding the dawn of a utopian golden age of which she is the ambassador.
In regard to any claim of being the Moshiach, it has to be earned and given by the nation of Israel. Most rabbinim are in agreement that he is alive today and self-aware of who he is.
No, so crazy as you look.
I told you, I'm a man of my word. I'm only burning my half. It's not about money. It's about sending a message. Everything burns.
A war of ideas that's being waged in the hearts and minds of everyone connected to the internet. And what's at stake is the very world order itself. But how long will this conflict last? The legendary astrologer Andre Barbeau, who predicted the pandemic of 2020 many years before he died in 2019, thought that these years would see a great crisis. But he thought it would be resolved in 2026, when the world would see a splendid relaunch of civilization. But right now, it's hard to see how such a thing could come to pass in such a short period of time. Two scenarios for the future of the world over the coming decade. We're also going to see how what's at stake here is the distribution of global power and the system of world governance itself. What's really mind-blowing is how the establishment of some sort of world system was seemingly promised by the current 500-year synodic cycle of Pluto and Neptune, which began with conjunctions in the late 19th century. So strap yourself in.
Something that was not revealed, as it were, from Hashem's heart to his mouth. So that's something that we know about. Those who know don't speak, and those who speak don't know, as they say.
This is the image, i.e. this is what the constellation really is in a form that we could relate to. Shahidi'u bin nevuasai, and this was told to me in a prophetic vision. So the Rambam already says, anybody starts talking like this is a false prophet, mamish, and he's going to be clipped. That's a technical term. He's done. You can't do that. He's promoting Avodah Zarah prophetically.
You should rewatch my shit because it's so hilarious. But you think it's serious because I nail you. But anyway.
Will expose us for who we really are. But it all depends how a person thinks about himself. Who is he really?
What's this meaning of the person selling Pampers and or toys for infants and the mother saying she doesn't want to buy it and he says take it anyway? He said that there's a deeper meaning over here is that the Jewish people say that they're not with that this person was trying to tell the Jewish people that they should do Torah mitzvahs, buying toys or diapers, whatever you want to call it, for the child as a metaphoric message of doing Torah mitzvahs for the coming of Moshiach.
The beautiful thing about his release is that it's irrevocable. You can't go back. This is the final. Because that's it. That is the end. Finito. You see? So that's the great stuff. Once he's out, it's irreversible, and that's it. He must now be that. And like it says here, but in the beginning, everybody looks at this guy and says, who is this guy?
If you put a king in the circus doesn't look like a palace. The king looks like a clown. Ooh, okay, nailed it.
Adam Rishon, if he did the mitzvah, would suddenly create a life, wouldn't create it. He would bring down a certain light, that light suddenly is megala to him. Stamp in the mind. That's it. It's megala to him that ein oid milvadoi. Why doesn't he think ein milvadoi? Because he doesn't know how to think. He thinks like all you people that you think that when you get up from a chair, you got up from the chair. But if you see the light of total emes, you will understand suddenly exactly what's happening. And that's how the guf is nizdachech. How does the neshama do this? Because it shines a certain light. That's all that goes in the mind. And suddenly the person goes, oh, I understand it.
You're too fast. Do you believe that my being stronger or faster has anything to do with my muscles in this place? You think that's air you're breathing now? You're faster than this. Don't think you are. Know you are.
Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me.
I know what you're trying to do. I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through. You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind. Right. No problem. Free my mind. Free my mind. No problem. Right.
makes it real. If you're killed in the Matrix, you die here?
The body cannot live without the mind.
Once he's freed, he will grow to be greater in Ruchnius than Avraham Avinu. That's pretty good. The second expression of growth is he will be greater in Ruchnius than Moshe Rabbeinu. That already is like, oh, wait a minute, what are we talking about already, right? And then you get to the third expression, growth. He will be greater than the Malchei HaShoros. Greater than the Malach.
That's okay. Every Yid who does mitzvahs is greater than Malchei.
No, but he, eventually. But on earth, he will be greater than the Malachim. That's the difference. It's like looking at, who's the greatest tzaddik you've ever seen, whatever that is. I mean, he has all that ruchnis and so on. They will all pale in comparison to the kedusha of this man while he's walking around. Wow. So just put some kind of a tzaddik or a rebbe or whatever, and multiply by 1,000, and you're looking at him.
I know we haven't spoken in some time, and the last time we spoke wasn't the most pleasant. But you've got to get over being mad at me and start becoming afraid of me, because she is coming, and she's coming to kill you. And unless you accept my assistance, I have no doubt she will succeed.
I don't dodge guilt, and I don't chew out of paying my comeuppance.
Can we just forget the past?
That woman deserves her revenge. And we deserve to die. But then again, so does she. So I guess we'll just see, won't we?
And view, which is the greatest, not only reward, but the greatest experience ever known, what will ever be, is to view and experience the majesty of God. Thank you.